So you're thinking about homeschool, but you have no idea about homeschool curriculums, what they are, how to use them, which one to choose. Well, you've come to the right place because today I'm going to share what I use as a first-time homeschool mom of a 5-year-old and almost 3-year-old. So get excited, buckle up. This is going to be a long one, but I hope I will answer all of your questions in today's video about the good and the beautiful homeschool curriculum. Welcome back to my channel, guys. For those of you who are new here, my name is Katie. I am a mom of 2 little girls. One is 5 and the other is almost 3, and we are homeschooling. So I'm really excited and glad you're here today to talk about this topic because I've gotten so many questions. And so I wanted to sit down and just be able to really in-depth explain everything to those of you who are interested. If you have been following along with my channel for a while, then you know that my husband and I recently started a podcast. And so most of my video uploads here on this channel have been podcast episodes as of late, but I wanted to do kind of back to my roots, more of a sit down video to chat with you guys, be able to show you the curriculum, flip through it together, and just really answer all those questions that I've been getting over the past year or so since we announced we are homeschooling. So today's video is kind of a part 1. I'm going to just strictly focus on the actual curriculum that I'm using with both of my girls now, but that is from The Good and the Beautiful. We also do other things as part of our homeschool, and I'm going to do a separate video to talk through more of that. I do have a podcast episode about more of my homeschool philosophy, so if you want to hear more about just what I want my homeschool to look like, my goals for my girls and for myself and for our family, all of that is covered in our podcast episode on homeschooling, which I will link that below. So make sure you go check that out. And then I also have another separate Instagram all about our homeschool, kind of showing more just day in the life if you want a bit of a peek inside of what it looks like, and that is at Club Homeschool. So I'll put a link to that as well for you. I hope you will come over there and join us. So as I'm filming this video, it is May of 2023, and my 5-year-old would be starting kindergarten this coming fall in 2023. However, I wanted to make sure before she got to kindergarten age that homeschooling was going to be for us, for me, for her. And so I wanted to use her kind of pre-K 4 year as more of a dry run for homeschooling. And so I actually went ahead and started her on a curriculum. Obviously, her entire life has been learning from me as her mother here at home, as a stay-at-home mom. That's what all of our kids are doing. They're learning from us. And I think sometimes people think once they reach a certain age, it needs to be more formal. And I guess it does, but it also doesn't have to be. And so homeschooling is so nuanced. And that's what I love about it, is that you can cater to your specific child. So don't take what I'm saying as the gospel of homeschool in any way, shape, or form. Don't take that from anyone. Look at your family, look at your children, and see what's going to work best for you guys, and don't worry about what everybody else is doing. Like, I think it's great that we're all out here sharing what we do, because I don't know that I'd be homeschooling today without seeing others doing it and others going before me. But at the same time, it can get twisted and we can start to compare and we can start to say, oh, I'm not doing it that way. I'm not doing it this way. Am I doing it right? And we question ourselves. Trust your gut, trust your motherly instinct. You are the best teacher for your specific children. God gave them to you for a reason, and you have absolutely the capabilities that you need in order to homeschool, especially with just all the resources that we have today. Anyone truly that wants to do it and has the heart to do it can do it, and that is truly what I believe. So like I said, my 5-year-old would be almost to starting kindergarten. She would be wrapping up her pre-K 4 year right now if she was in a school setting, enrolled somewhere. But I wanted to start with her. We started about 1 full calendar year ago. So when she was 4, I went ahead and purchased the curriculum for the first time. Now, I went with The Good and the Beautiful, as I've said, and that was just what I had heard the most about. Seemed very straightforward, was affordable, and I'll get more into each of those points in a minute. But just to give you a bit of a backstory, so we started about 1 calendar year ago, and so we've been through an entire curriculum book of language arts, and now we're starting the next year of that. So in this video, I'm going to show you what we did and then what we're doing for my 5-year-old. And then I'm also going to show you what I'm currently doing with my almost 3-year-old. She'll be 3 this month. So that is the plan for the video. So stick around. I hope I will get to all of your questions. If not, leave a comment below with any of them. Follow me, like I said, at Club Homeschool on Instagram. You can also find me at Katie Logan on Instagram. So plenty of places to reach out to me. My email is all over the internet too. So if you want to reach out that way, DM, comment, anything. I am here to be an open book and hopefully be helpful. I'm not an expert. I'm brand new at this, but I have the confidence and I want to instill that in you too, because I think that's the number one thing holding moms back from homeschool. It's just confidence in yourself. And I'm telling you, if you have the heart to do this, you can do it. So what is The Good and the Beautiful? The Good and the Beautiful is a Christian-based open and go curriculum, meaning that you don't have to do anything. You don't have to research anything. You very rarely have to prepare something. Like there will be some crafts where you might need glue and a paper plate or something super, super simple. So that was what drew me to it, because as somebody just starting out and just starting to get my feet wet with homeschooling, I did not want anything that was like going to be labor intensive. I also had a almost 2-year-old at the time of starting. So a 1-year-old, and that was like a lot. She was a crazy toddler. Is a crazy toddler. So I just wanted something that was going to be very simple, and I had heard good things. Now, you will hear some controversy with The Good and the Beautiful because it is a Mormon company, and so some people have a problem with that. I'm not looking to The Good and the Beautiful for my theology classes. I'm using it for language arts and math, and they interweave into the lessons. They talk about God, they talk about God's creation, they mention Jesus, and so that's enough for me. I will look to other sources for our Bible course, for our theology course in the future, so I don't personally have a problem supporting them. But you can find other YouTube videos talking about that if you want to. And so with that said, I also wanted to mention I'm not affiliated with The Good and the Beautiful in any way. I just simply use them and am sharing my honest experience with you all today. So how much does it cost for a curriculum from The Good and the Beautiful? So that's the other thing that drew me to Good and Beautiful, is the price point. I think it's very affordable compared to some other curriculums that I've looked at. It's very much you pay what you want. So they actually offer their core curriculums of math and language arts for free, all grade levels. You can have the PDF for free and print it out yourself, which is just absolutely amazing. So really there is no excuse not to homeschool at this point, because you literally have it at your fingertips for free. Like, what a blessing to families that is. When I first bought our first curriculum, it was actually a closeout because they were reworking their curriculums. And so I got it 50% off. So I just went ahead and bought it. I wanted the physical thing. I kind of wanted some of the accessories, which again, the additional flashcards, books, things like that, you don't have to buy. They tell you don't have to buy them, but it of course is more of a holistic package if you just buy everything from them. So that's what I chose to do. But regardless, I think it's a very affordable option, even if you do get everything at full price, which is what I did for our most recent purchases. I think it was like a 15% off sale for, I don't know, Easter or something. I don't remember. I think it's a great place to start. And then they also have other subjects outside of math and language arts. We just aren't there yet. So how do you use The Good and the Beautiful curriculum? So this is the Language Arts and Literature Level K course book. So this is the one that I used with Avery first. So it's an open and go curriculum. And so what that means is you buy it, you open it up, and you go. So it literally tells you exactly what to do. It says, read to the child in blue. And then in black, you read, I'm very grateful to be teaching you this course. Teaching good things and learning good things brings us joy. God created so many beautiful things in this world for us to enjoy. So that's how it is. It literally tells you. And then it says, prompt if needed, and pause for answers. Like, it literally tells you a script of what to say to work through this with your child. Then it has the work that you do, and it just has all the lessons So there's also a section in the front that has instructions, basically tells you all about the course, the things that will be covered, any extra materials you may need. So it's all really covered in here, everything you need. You don't need to be looking at a website and then looking at this or referencing a teacher's guide and this is the student workbook. Like, it's all right here in this one book. You don't need anything else. So this course book had 120 lessons in it, and it took us a full calendar year to get through it because, like I said, she was 4. It was kind of just a loose start just to get our feet wet. I also tried other things during the year, which I can talk about more in my part 2 of this video series. But that's okay. Like, it's okay. You don't have to do school from August to June or September to June or whatever it is. You make the schedule. You decide. We typically don't do school on Fridays. We do more Monday to Thursday. But I do school year round, and we take breaks when we need them or when we're sick or when we go on vacation or if we just are burnt out or we want to try something else for a bit. And so it doesn't have to look like school at home. It's homeschool. It's more home than school. That's one of my favorite sayings. So which level to buy? So like I said, this is the level K language arts that I use with my 4-year-old. So when you go to purchase the curriculums or download the PDFs for free on the Good and the Beautiful website, they have a placement test for each course subject. And so you're going to give that to your child, or actually in my case, I just reviewed it because I just knew very well what Avery knew and what she didn't know. And so you just review that, and then it will tell you, recommend to you which course to buy. So with Avery, she has always been a very advanced reader with knowing her alphabet, knowing her letter sounds, recognizing upper and lowercase letters, being able to recognize sight words and do all of those things she was doing before I ever wanted to do this curriculum with her. So with the placement test, it said that she should start with level K. So that's what we did. And I just can't even explain how crazy her reading skills are now. And I don't give this course 100% of the credit because, like I said, we used other things throughout the year as well. And she just has a natural knack for reading. But the way that this walks you through just the foundation, I feel like she has such a strong foundation because of the guidance we got from this course book and just not missing any of the steps in the learning process. Like, she could read before starting this, but it was more word recognition or looking at the pictures and using that to help her figure it out. This taught her how to actually read, and we always say to her, you can read anything. And so now she says, I can read anything. And so she truly can read almost anything. The words that this child can sound out and pronounce correctly is just mind-blowing. So the other thing I like about this curriculum is it's not just teaching them to read. They have some art appreciation. There's also poetry incorporated throughout the lessons. There's work on handwriting, spelling. They'll have in some lessons like some little games or little crafts that are a part of the lesson just to make it fun and engaging for the kids. And then throughout each unit, they also have reading assessments. So throughout, you're going to be assessing the child. It tells you what to do if your child doesn't pass the assessment versus if they do. There's recommendations in here for what to do if it's too easy for them or if it's too hard for them. And so it really helps you out as a parent who is like kind of clueless starting out homeschooling like me, and just really gives you a solid foundation. So now I want to show you the extras that I got along with just this course book. So this right here is what you can get for free in PDF form. You could print it out yourself and have it spiral bound. I think their pricing is very affordable. I don't think you can print it out and get it bound for that much less than what you can just buy this book for. So now I want to show you kind of the accessory items that you can choose to purchase with the course book or not. So first are all these little readers. There's 30, and Again, this is their older course book, so it might look a little different today, but I'm sure it's the still basis. So these were the little books that she would have to read. So throughout the lessons, it would say, read little book number 1 or whatever. And so they would read each one. In the beginning, it seemed like they had them read each one 3 times, and then towards the end, they would just have to read each one 2 times. But again, it tells you what you have to do. You don't have to think about it. So then these flashcards are phonics cards. So it tells you the letter or letter combination and then the different phonetic sounds that it makes. So I also got the Level K Reader, which this is full of all these stories. It's just a little reader book. And it gets progressively harder as the book goes on, just more practice. This was not referenced in the book other than on some days it would say read stories from the Level K Reader. So you definitely don't need this. You could have books of the same level in your home library already that you could use. And then same for these boxed book sets. So I kind of just got all these because, like I said, I got these on a really good deal when they were doing a closeout of this course. So I got boxes B, C, and D. So they're leveled readers that we just went through according to whatever I felt. If some of the lessons feel shorter than others. And so if we had a day where we just did one short lesson and then we would sit there together and I would have her read some books to me for a while, or some days we would do 2 lessons. Some days we would do 1 lesson and it felt kind of long, and so we would just be done. So it's really up to, again, you're feeling how your child's doing, how they're feeling, how wiggly they're getting in their seats, and go off of that. It doesn't have to be like we're doing 1 lesson Monday through Friday from August to June, and then that's it. Like, there's no reason to do it like that. There's just no reason. So let me just pull one of these books out. So this was from the Level B book. So they're full color little readers. And then from like the Level C and D are this size. And again, just the little reader books. Pretty, standard stuff. You don't have to get it from The Good and the Beautiful. You can get stuff like this anywhere. But I will say it's getting pretty crazy out there with how young of kids they're targeting with certain ideologies in books. I don't know if you're aware of that, but if you are not, you really need to be previewing or at least reading with your child books so that nothing crazy is getting snuck in there, filling their head with different ideas. So with the company like The Good and the Beautiful, I feel that I can trust that they're not going to be putting values that I disagree with into their books. If that changes, I will absolutely ditch this company and move on to the next one. Okay, so hopefully that was a good overview of what the curriculum looks like. So that was the one that we did, and now I'm going to show you the one that we're doing now. So I'll start with language arts. So now we are on to the Level 1 language arts. So I didn't have her do the placement test again. We finished Level K, so ready to move on to Level 1. Now this is their updated curriculum, so it does look a little different, but everything conceptually, the way it works is the same. It's open and go. It's very pretty inside, colorful. I would say they improved the brightness and colorfulness, more pictures, things like that with this one. This looks like it's going to be one where she can do a little bit of drawing or something on that lesson, so that'll be fun. And again, it has the artwork and poetry incorporated into it, which just makes it a little unique and just exposes them to something that, I probably wouldn't otherwise expose her to necessarily, looking at art history or art appreciation. So the major change with the newer curriculum is that they now have these reading booster cards. So we have the reading booster B cards that correlates with the Level 1 language arts. And so these are just basically little exercises for them to do alongside the curriculum. And again, in the lesson, it tells you spend 5 minutes on the booster B cards. Like, it tells you exactly what to do. There's not a lot of guesswork. Now, we just started this like a week ago, so we're not far into it. But when we did, they have this page. It says, stop, complete these steps before beginning the course. So to make sure you're on track, you have the child read this passage, go into the Booster B cards and make sure they can do all the review cards. So there's about 5 or 6 review cards at the front of this that I just went through. It literally took us 5 minutes for her to go through. And then there's a video, how to use the level 1 language arts course. So you watch that and it just, again, further explains. They really leave no stone unturned. It's very straightforward what to do, and they have a lot of great instructional content for the parents. Now, as I mentioned, Avery is an exceptional reader, and so even just within the first week of starting this course, I was like, you know what? This is too easy for her. I had her go to the last booster card. She did it with no problem. Again, we have the little reader books that go along with it. I went to the last one. She read it no problem. And so I consulted their website, and sure enough, they had an answer to my question of, what if this, is too easy? And I gave her the other placement tests and she could start at a higher level. But it does say that it recommends not skipping levels after level 1 because there are other things other than just learning how to read. Like I said, the poetry, the art, history, all that, but there's also the spelling and the grammar, and just those things are also covered. She's had such a solid foundation so far with the level K. I don't want there to be any holes as we move on and continue on. So I decided we're going to stay the course with this. If there are bits of a lesson, so on each lesson, you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4 things that you have to check off on that page. 5, and then some independent practice. So there's basically 6 different things that they have to do in the lesson. So if there's one part of a lesson that I'm just this is a waste of our time, then we'll move on and we'll skip over it. Or we'll just do it and she'll be able to do it so quickly and we'll get it over with. So that's kind of my philosophy with this, is I'm really just going to see where she needs to spend more time and where we can kind of move ahead quickly. And that was actually what they recommended on the Good and the Beautiful website, was to just move through the course more quickly if it's too easy for your child, but you don't want to miss out on those foundational steps. So the other thing that we started doing after we kind of got our footing with the language arts was I went ahead and purchased the first math curriculum for her. And we started this in December. And then in April, we just started the new language arts curriculum. And like I said, she would technically be starting kindergarten in the fall. So that's why it's hard for homeschoolers when people ask oh, what grade are you in? And it's just ask people what their age is, because she's 5. It doesn't really matter what grade she's in. She's not really in a grade because she's doing first grade language arts. And same with the math. She did the placement test. And because we just had worked for her whole life on these other things, she tested into the math 1 for her first curriculum, because the math K was more about shapes, colors, number recognition, counting, adding up to 5. This is all covered in the placement test that you give to the child, and it was just so obvious that was going to be too easy for her. So we went ahead and started with Math 1. So with the math curriculum, I will say it's been a challenge for her. But again, knowing my child, knowing that she needs to be challenged, to be interested, she enjoys the challenge, I think it's been really good for her, and she is just blowing us away with the math concepts that she has learned, but then she grows just on her own and stacks on top of that. So it's just crazy to see her mind working. And that's what I just love about homeschool, and just the idea of homeschool in the future, is seeing their little brains work and seeing how happy they are when they figure it out, seeing them struggle through something, seeing them have it click in their mind after a struggle. You just don't get that if you send your kids to school. And I mean, I'm sure you do for other things at home, but I love being there for every single one of those moments. And I'm so blessed to not have to miss out on any of them. So this is the course book. It's pretty much like the language arts. They kind of explain the instructions to you. And then inside, it's very colorful. It's very fun. Now, my husband and I are both engineers. So that right there tells you we love math. We are math nerds. And so I'm more excited about teaching math. I the language arts is cool. I love seeing her learn to read. She seems to have a passion for reading and not as much of a passion for math yet, but I get excited about the math. And it's also really fun. The way they do it is really engaging and very lots of hands-on, not just like sitting there writing out numbers. So that course book, again, you can get the PDF of that for free and print it out yourself. So the accessory, if you will, for the math courses are these boxes, which contain, let me see if I can show you. It's different for each level, but there's different things in here. So some magnetic shapes. Oh, it's all going to spill out. Let me just show you like this. A couple dice, play money. It's hard to show on camera. Some play money and little numbered boats that you use for different games and exercises within the curriculum. So again, they've made the curriculum to where you don't have to have this. For the math, I wouldn't recommend the math without this box unless you're able to find close to exact items. You can see on the website everything that's included. I would recommend getting the box just to make your life easier. But if money's tight, you don't have to have it. So that pretty much wraps up the curriculum, the good and the beautiful tools that we're using for my 5-year-old. And right now, now I'm getting into stuff that will be in episode 2. So a couple weeks ago, we did a Charlotte's Web unit study. So that's something that I'm going to talk about in part 2 of these video series. But we kind of took a break from this. It was after we had finished the level K language arts, and I was giving us a little bit of a breather before starting the level 1. And also I wanted to do the Charlotte's Web unit study. And so like I said, just about a week or 2 ago, we started getting back into the curriculum. And so we've been doing either language arts or math each day. But I probably this week will start getting back into, we're going to do 1 language arts and 1 math a day. Again, unless she's seeming more like she can't, or if one of the lessons is really long, or whatever we decide to do. But my idea, like my standard is going to be to do 1 language arts lesson and 1 math lesson each day. But again, the beauty of homeschooling, you get to do whatever works, whatever fits, whatever feels right for each of your children even. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about my 2-year-old now and what we have for her. But, it's going to be different for each child. And that's what's amazing, is that you get to cater to each of their personalities, each of their skill sets, and you're not stuck into just any pigeonholes whatsoever. It's all freedom, which is, if you know me, I love freedom. Okay, so on to my 2-year-old, who will be 3 in like 3 weeks, which is just mind-blowing. Can't accept it. Not possible. But let me give you a little bit of backstory with her. So like I said, with my first, her whole life, we were teaching her things, working with her, playing with her. All our play was learning integrated, like learning letters, learning numbers, counting, singing your ABCs, learning your letter sounds. Like we were those total overbearing first-time parents. But she also loved it. Like that personality, I guess. I don't know if it's a firstborn child thing or just that's her personality. It wasn't, obviously, like with a baby or even with a young toddler, you can't force them to do anything. Like they're going to do what they're enjoying. So that was with her. Second kid, born during a global pandemic, after some tragedy in my family, followed by shortly after she was born, more tragedy in my family. Again, you can listen to the podcast if you aren't familiar, if you haven't been following me for long, if you want to know more of our story, can head over to Instagram. I'm all over the place with that. But the point is, it was different. It was way different. And also her personality was way different. She didn't sit there even to have a book read to her for a good year and a half. Whereas our first, we read to her every single day of her life, 1 or more books. And so it's just different personalities. She is almost 3 years old and she doesn't know. She can't perfectly every single time tell me each and every letter and its letter sound, which I feel like is more standard for a 2-year-old. I don't think most 2-year-olds know their letters and sounds. But that's what is standard for me because of my first. So that's the history with her. Also, obviously, she being the second, I'm already into homeschooling with my first. So it's a whole different scenario with her and figuring out, okay, what am I going to do with her while I'm working and like being a legitimate teacher? Is not like with a 4-year-old. When we first started, I could be like, okay, go do your worksheets and I'm going to watch sister over here. No, I had to be very hands-on with both of them. So I will say in the beginning, when we started, when Avery was 4, we struggled. Like, it was hard to keep Georgia occupied while I was working with Avery. And she would climb all over. She would cry. She would try to get my attention. It was just chaotic. But we stuck with it. We made it part of our routine every day. And we just kept going. And you know what? She learned within a few weeks, probably a few months at worst, she learned how to occupy herself, how to go play. You got to do what you got to do, but I don't recommend just putting the TV on for the younger kids. I don't think that's a great lesson. They need to learn independent play because that's developmentally age appropriate for them. For a 1-year-old to early on 2-year-old, that's great for them to be playing and doing all that. So she would play with her toys. Of course, I would still have tons of interruptions, needing snacks, needing milk, needing all this stuff. And so that's fine. Like, it's totally fine. It is what it is. You're not going to have just a dedicated 30 minutes even that she's going to be perfectly occupied at this age. And that's okay. And that was something I had to come to realize too. Okay, we're going to do one little bit of Avery's lesson and then I'm going to have to be distracted. And then we're going to do the next bit. And as Avery has also learned, my older one has learned how to work through her curriculum, kind of the independent practice, or okay, you're going to read this book now, and doing that sort of a thing. It's also easier to say, okay, you're going to do this while I go do something with your sister. And so it's just, we've gotten into this workflow that works for our family. And I say all that in this long-winded way to just encourage you that starting out, it's going to be a crap show. It's going to be chaos. You're going to be learning. They're going to be learning. And you just have to allow for that adjustment time. Just like if you're taking them to school for the first time and they cry at drop off every day. Like, there's adjustment no matter what way you're going. So you might as well follow what your heart wants to do and just power through, and you'll find a way. If there's a will, there's a way. But all that to say, when we did, as I mentioned, that Charlotte's Web unit study, Georgia, something clicked in her. Something changed. I don't know if it was her age or just her level of interest or what happened, but all of a sudden she wanted to do worksheets. She wanted to sit at the table with sister with a pencil in hand and be like her sister, do the work like her sister. And so it was great because the unit study I purchased had things at different levels. So I was able to print out things that were appropriate for both of them. And I worked with both of them on their work as we read the book and all that. So that was kind of just like a hallelujah moment for me of, oh my gosh, she's able to hold a pencil correctly and draw a circle properly and trace lines and all those just like little skills that I feel like my oldest had at such a young age. They're finally clicking for my second. And it just was such, again, a beautiful moment to be able to be the one witnessing it all happen. So when I was placing the order for Avery's next language arts course, that is when I also went ahead and placed the order for something for Georgia because I knew that she was ready for that step. So this is the preschool course book for the good and the beautiful. And it's basically, so again, it's exactly like the other coursework where it tells you exactly what to do. But of course, the lessons are very short and simple. We're talking about a preschooler here, and it just, she had to pick out the A's and color in with the A's. You're learning uppercase and lowercase. There's videos. They have, The Good and the Beautiful has a homeschool app that has all of the videos. Like, it'll say, you click on preschool course, you click on lesson 1, and you click on the song that corresponds. So it's very easy to use as well. but she just has been loving it so far. We've only done about like 4 lessons, I think. And then I also purchased with that the practice sheets. So we already did A and B, but you can see, well, I don't know if you can see on camera, but it's just a big letter C and then a lowercase c that they can color. And then later on in the book, there are some simple like matching exercises, some little easy mazes, some counting skills. So just more practice worksheets that I can give to her that correspond with the course. Now, this one does not have a free PDF. The free PDFs are for their K through 8, I believe, of language arts and math. So this one you would have to buy, but again, I find it to be very affordable. And when you're homeschooling, you're going to be investing. If you're sending your kids to even public school, I'm sure there are times where you need to spend money. You need to spend money on their supplies. You need to donate for the class fund. You need to send in money for field day. I don't know. There's a lot of costs associated. Nothing's going to be just free. So just accept that you are probably, if you want a open and go curriculum at preschool, you don't need this. Like, you can find on Pinterest free worksheets that you just print out. You can probably find on Etsy, like for $5, a set of worksheets that you could print out. Because I have an older one that my younger one is wanting to emulate, I just wanted to get her her own course that she could be excited about. And then for me, it just makes it where I don't have that burden. We have enough decision-making burden as a mom, as a stay-at-home mom, as a homeschool mom. There are so many decisions that have to be made. The last thing I want to be thinking about every single day is, oh, what am I gonna which worksheet am I gonna give to Georgia today? So I just open it, whatever the next lesson is, and go, and that's it. My only decision was to purchase this, and now I'm done. And that is what works for me. So that's what I did. And you're going to do what works for you. Okay, so I think that wraps up everything. If there's anything I forgot, if there's anything you still have questions on, like I said, reach out, comment below, DM me, all the things. I am here to help in any way I can. I've been so thankful in the way that God has used my journey of homeschooling to be there as a resource for people. I feel that I'm not equipped to do that. But like I said, what I do feel equipped in is the confidence. And so whether you take my advice on curriculums or what to teach your kids or how to teach your kids, that's beside the point. I want you to know that you can do this if you have the heart to do it. I think God gave you your specific children to be taught and brought up by you. I think that is the design of, what works best is having the nuclear family together and learning and growing together. I think is just the best thing that you can do for yourself and for your children. It's such a blessing to be able to homeschool my kids. Obviously, I stay at home and my husband supports our family. And I know that's not everyone's situation. If you have to work and you still feel like you want to homeschool your children, believe it or not, there are people who work full-time and homeschool their children. So just research it, look into it, find like-minded people, find people in your situation that have gone before you and figured it out, and learn from them. That's just the biggest thing, is just opening yourself to learn from others. And don't feel like you should have it all figured out. Why should you have this all figured out? You shouldn't. You're just starting. But we're just blessed to live in this day and age where we have technology for all of its faults. It is amazing. And there's just so much out there for you, so many people out there for you to learn from, to glean wisdom from, to learn what not to do from too. So I'm just very thankful for those of you who have watched this entire thing. Thank you for listening to me. I really hope this was helpful. I hope that I can be a resource for you, and let me know if you need anything. And I will see you in part 2 to discuss our unit studies and the other things we use for learning in our homeschool. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss anything. Follow me on Instagram, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.